All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today, we are taking a deep dive into Andrew Kagan's random technical news you can possibly use newsletter.
This one is from February 7th, 2025.
It is jam-packed with all sorts of goodies, from Azure updates to Microsoft 365, AI, even quantum computing.
It really runs the gamut.
It does. So we're going to try to cover as much as we can today, touch upon 8 key areas that we think are most important for you, our lovely listeners.
Like a curated tour.
That's right, a curated tour.
Excellent.
So let's kick things off with Azure.
Okay.
There's a video here on the evolution of connectivity. Now, I think that's something that is constantly changing in the cloud world.
Yeah, it is. And it can be confusing. I mean, think of it like, roads and bridges of your cloud infrastructure. Staying up to date on those changes, it can really make or break your performance and security.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, let's jump over to Microsoft 365 updates. There's a whole office hour on OneDrive. So if anyone out there is still struggling with, file management, that might be a good resource for you. But the thing that really caught my eye is this title, Unlocking the Power of Microsoft Purview for ChatGPT Enterprise. ChatGPT is everywhere these days. I'm really curious to see how Purview fits in there.
Yeah, I mean, that title it's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about Purview, right, we're talking data governance, we're talking compliance.
Yeah.
So applying that to ChatGPT in the enterprise context could be huge, especially with all the concerns around data privacy and security these days.
Absolutely. You don't want your company's secrets being accidentally spilled out in a ChatGPT response, right?
Exactly.
And speaking of security, there's a mention here about increased visibility into DeepSeek usage through Defender for cloud apps. Not something everyone uses, but still an interesting development.
It points to a larger trend, I think, though. As we adopt more AI-powered tools, security monitoring it needs to evolve as well. And on that note, there's a video here about streamlining your operations with Copilot agents. And that sounds pretty interesting.
I feel like Copilot agents are popping up everywhere, and I'm really curious to see how they impact workflows in different areas.
Yeah.
Now, for the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 enthusiasts out there, this newsletter has some goodies too. There are articles on pipelines, the latest updates for Copilot Studio, Power Apps, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot there. But the one that really stands out to me is the mention of Microsoft Fabric Copilot writing DAX queries in Power BI.
Ooh.
Now, if this works as well as they say, it could be a real game changer for anyone who works with data.
Imagine no more wrestling with DAX formulas.
That's right.
I could get behind that. All right, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about DevOps, SRE, and infrastructure. First up, an article, How to Run an Effective Sprint Review. Those meetings can be a real mixed bag.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they are productive, but sometimes it feels like everyone's just going through the motions. A good sprint review can be invaluable, though.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully this article offers some, solid advice.
Yeah, definitely worth a read for sure. And for the coders out there, there's a video on getting started with GitHub Copilot in VS Code for 2025.
Nice.
Seems like these AI-powered coding assistants are just getting more and more advanced all the time.
They are, and it's sparking a lot of discussion in the developer community. I mean, some people, they see it as a huge productivity booster.
Right.
While others worry about, over-reliance on these tools.
Yeah, and let's not forget about this article here. Developers unhappy with tool sprawl, lagging data, long waits. Seems like some things never change.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that even with all these amazing tools, development workflows, they still have their challenges. It's a constant struggle to strike that balance between having, feature-rich tools and efficiency.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now let's dive into data, analytics, and AI. We've got an article here on the history of data engineering, which sounds like a fascinating read.
It does. I mean, understanding the evolution of any field, it helps you appreciate where we are today and where we might be headed.
For sure. And speaking of the future, this video, Scaling AI in Education, a Conmigo case study caught my eye.
Oh yeah, Khan Academy is a pretty big name in education.
Huge, yeah.
So seeing how they are using AI to personalize learning at scale, that could be really insightful.
Definitely. It makes you wonder, what is the role of AI in education? Is it a tool to augment human teachers, or could it potentially replace them someday? These are discussions we need to have.
Absolutely, especially as AI becomes more deeply integrated into learning environments. We can't just ignore these questions.
Yeah, we can't. And there are also resources mentioned for SQL database in Microsoft Fabric, including a masterclass for partners and info on billing and utilization reporting.
Looks like Microsoft's really building out its offerings around Fabric. This could be a big area of growth for data professionals.
Speaking of growth areas, let's move on to security, compliance, and privacy. This section of the newsletter is packed. There's the CSA's Virtual AI Summit and the SAOF.ai Summit, both focusing on AI and compliance.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, the use of AI in security, it raises a whole host of ethical and legal considerations, so these summits are probably timely and important.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a video here on secure your resources and roles with Entra-verified ID. Digital identity is only becoming more crucial. I bet this is worth checking out.
Especially with the increasing sophistication of cyber attacks, strong identity verification. It's not optional anymore. It's essential.
Yeah. And then there's a new way to correlate Office activity in Microsoft Sentinel. For anyone concerned with security monitoring and threat detection, that could be a big deal.
It shows how AI is changing the game in security, providing more intelligent and automated ways to, identify and respond to threats. It's a whole new ballgame.
The newsletter also touches on extending security ecosystems with Microsoft Security Copilot. Again, more AI integration. But on the flip side, there's an article arguing that traditional vendor risk management, it's just not enough anymore. It's not cutting it.
Right, and I think that highlights a key takeaway, that as technology evolves, our security approaches need to evolve as well. We can't just rely on, yesterday's solutions to solve tomorrow's problems.
Very true. And it looks like standardization in identity security is emerging as a potential solution to some of these challenges we face. It's a complex landscape for sure, and this newsletter really highlights that.
It does, and that's just the first half of the newsletter.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Buckle up because we still have learning and certifications and industry news and trends to go.
Okay, let's move on to something a little lighter. Learning and certifications. This week's newsletter has some real gems in this section, including free courses that are actually free. Data Analytics Edition.
Oh, free.
Free is always good.
Free is the best.
It's fantastic to see more resources becoming available to help people, upskill and stay relevant in this ever-changing tech world.
It really is.
And there's something for everyone here. I mean, you've got the Let's Write a DAX Query video for aspiring data analysts. You've got the Azure Masterclass on storage for those wanting to deepen their cloud infrastructure knowledge.
Yeah, there's a lot. And for those who like to really understand how things work under the hood, there's a talk on visualizing transformers and attention.
Ooh.
That sounds like a peek into the heart of how some AI models operate.
It does, and it's important to remember that even though AI tools are becoming, easier to use, understanding the underlying concepts can give you a significant edge.
For sure, for sure. And speaking of AI, the Microsoft Copilot for Security Skilling series, particularly the Network Security Integrations episode, sounds like a must-watch for anyone in cybersecurity.
AI is transforming not just the tools we use for security, but also, how we learn and train for the future. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, you're ready for some industry news and trends? This is always the part that I get most excited about.
Let's see what Andrew's got for us this week.
The first thing that jumped out at me was the question, why quantum, why now? Quantum computing has been on the horizon for a while, but it seems like things are really starting to heat up now.
It does feel like we're reaching a tipping point. Quantum computing has the potential to revolutionize everything from drug discovery to material science. It's definitely a field that's worth keeping a close eye on.
For sure. And speaking of keeping an eye on things, there's Angular, the documentary, which explores the history of this popular framework.
Understanding the evolution of these tools, it can give you a deeper appreciation for where they came from and where they might be going next. It's always good to have that historical context.
Now for something a little more mind-bending, agentic AI. Are you ready to talk about artificial agents acting autonomously?
Ooh, that's where things get really interesting and potentially, a bit unsettling. The idea of AI agents making decisions without human intervention, it raises a lot of ethical and practical questions. I mean, where do we draw the line?
It does make you wonder about the potential consequences, both positive and negative. This is a conversation we need to have as a society. We can't just bury our heads in the sand.
Absolutely. The future of AI is being shaped right now, and it's important for everyone to be informed and engaged.
And finally, we have some news from Anthropic and former Palantir engineers showcasing the continued innovation happening in the AI space.
It's exciting to see new players emerge and push the boundaries of what's possible with AI. I mean, the pace of development, it's incredible. It feels like every week there's something new and groundbreaking.
So there you have it, a whirlwind tour of the tech landscape, courtesy of Andrew Kagan's newsletter.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from Azure updates to the future of quantum computing, from free learning resources to the mind-boggling possibilities of agentic AI.
And this is just a small taste of what's out there.
The key takeaway for me is that the tech world is constantly evolving. It's crucial to stay curious, keep learning, and be open to new ideas.
Couldn't agree more. It's an exciting time to be involved in technology, with new challenges and opportunities emerging every day. It's a wild ride, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think how much has changed, even in the past few years in the tech world.
Yeah. The pace of change really seems to be just accelerating.
Which makes staying informed more crucial than ever.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just about, keeping up with the latest and greatest shiny new thing. It's about understanding how all these developments connect and impact the bigger picture.
Exactly. And take AI, for example. We saw it pop up in practically every area we talked about today, from Azure connectivity to, cybersecurity training.
It's like this thread, through all of these different advancements.
Yeah, the invisible thread that's weaving it all together.
And that raises some interesting questions.
It does.
How will AI continue to shape the way we work, learn, and interact with the world around us?
Big questions. Those are the kind of questions that keep me up at night, tossing and turning.
And I think that's what makes, Andrew Kagan's newsletter so valuable.
Yeah.
It gives us this curated snapshot of what's happening across the tech landscape, and it prompts us to think critically about the implications.
It's like a springboard for deeper exploration, He points us in the right direction.
He does.
And then it's up to us to kind of dive in and, discover what resonates most with our own interests and goals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if any of the topics we discussed today piqued your interest, I encourage you to check out the full newsletter.
Yeah.
Andrew includes links to all the articles, videos, and resources.
All the good stuff.
We've mentioned all the good stuff.
Absolutely.
And as you explore those resources, ask yourself this: how might these trends impact your own work or personal life? What new skills might you need to develop to stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, stay ahead of that curve.
Right, because it's a fast-moving one.
It is.
These are the questions that keep us engaged and learning. After all, the journey of discovery in the tech world never truly ends.
It really doesn't. It's a lifelong journey.
It is. And that's what makes it so exciting.
There's always something new to learn, something new to create, something new to explore.
Well said. Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive for today.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We hope you found this exploration, insightful and engaging.
Absolutely. And remember, keep diving deep into the world of tech. You never know what amazing discoveries await.